So I just finished this awesome indie game called Aggelos. It's a throwback to games like the Wonder Boy series and Zelda 2. That is, it's a side-scrolling 2D action platform RPG, but since that's a mouthful, you could just call it a Metroidvania. He plays a seemingly ordinary adventurer who wakes up one day with a strange conviction to head west into the forest, and almost immediately you run into a girl who's being attacked by a monster. As it turns out, she is the Princess of Lumen, and her kingdom is facing impending doom. There are strange dimensional cracks opening up in the world, and the evil forces of darkness are planning to invade. You, the unnamed hero, are the only hope to save the world. To do this, you need to find the 4 elemental powers of earth, water, fire, and air. Together, these powers can be synthesized into the power of light and be used to defeat the evil army of shadow monsters. This means going into dungeons, solving puzzles, finding hidden items, defeating tons of monsters, leveling up, acquiring better equipment, and learning new abilities along the way. You'll learn a downward sword stab early on in the game, and then later on an upwards jumping slash. If you're up for the challenge, you'll be able to eventually learn more advanced sword techniques later on. As you acquire each elemental power, you'll gain new magic abilities that will help you not only defeat monsters, but also reach new areas. The Earth Ring lets you throw projectiles at enemies and create platforms to walk on. The Water Ring lets you create bubbles that let you swim freely, fall slowly, and explode on nearby enemies. The Fire Ring lets you shoot fireballs and create portals. And finally, the Air Ring lets you dash through the air and run super fast. One of the things I really love about the game is its art style, and that's what really piqued my interest in the title to begin with. For some reason, that picture with the big dragon just got to me. The monster designs are so good. A lot of it reminds me of Akira Toriyama's work, who is most famous for creating Dragon Ball. The whole retro aesthetic is very well done, and the chiptune soundtrack is really catchy. There's a bunch of areas to explore, people to talk to, and side quests to complete. The game's full of cliches and nods to other games, and it never takes itself too seriously. One moment you'll be fighting for your life, and the next you'll be delivering bananas to a monkey. It's a Metroidvania, but it's not huge and it's not too confusing or intimidating. If you don't know what to do next, you can always pop into the castle and ask the seer for some guidance. But I'll admit that I did refer to a walkthrough several times as I missed a few important items and struggled to find my way through a couple of the dungeons. It can be really easy to miss certain key items like the feather, which gives you the ability to teleport between save points. I can't imagine playing through the whole game without it. There's quite a bit of backtracking, which is something I'm not always a fan of, but it never feels cumbersome in this game. It has a world that I really enjoyed playing in for the whole 8 to 9 hours that it took me to finish. It never got boring. It's very well paced, with enough challenge and character progression to keep you going. While Aggelos is a great game, it's not perfect. There are just a couple things that could have been better. The first issue is specific to PC players, and that is there is no D-pad support on PC for most popular controllers such as the Xbox and 8-bit Do gamepads. You'll have to use the left analog stick instead, or use some third-party remapping software to get the D-pad to work. This issue has been around since the game's release in 2018, and the developers just never were willing to fix it for some reason. This turned away a lot of PC players who insisted the game was impossible to beat without a D-pad, and to that I say, get good, noobs. I finished the game just fine with the left analog stick, but I do think this is a really lazy move from the developers, and it's disappointing. The game would have been more enjoyable with a D-pad. Okay, now to the more general problems with the game. First of all, the map is completely useless. This is a Metroidvania style game, right? Maps are important, right? Well, there's none. I mean, there's technically something called a map, but look at it. It's just a useless landscape illustration. There's no dungeon maps or navigational maps whatsoever. Can't remember if you explored this area or not? Too bad, you'll have to go explore it again because once again there's no map to help you. My second gripe is minor and it has to do with the save points. Generally you do have enough save points in all the most important places, but it would be nice if there was always one right before a boss fight. They're close to boss fights, but you'll usually need to run through a few screens of bad guys between the save point and the boss room. And this can be pretty annoying for some areas with tougher bosses and longer paths in between, but again this is a minor complaint and it's really not too bad. Overall, Aggelos is a great game with a charming world to explore, solid pacing, satisfying combat, and a lot of heart. The ending left me happy, sad, and completely surprised at the same time. If you enjoy these kinds of games, then by all means go play Aggelos. It's on basically every platform now and often goes on sale for under $5. Let me know your thoughts on Aggelos in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.